Our skills are worth a lot more than the job title that we are given. And as a matter of fact, I would suggest we spend a lot of time hiding behind job titles. When we meet people, we rattle off, hey, what's our job title? When they say, hey, what do you do? I'm an engineer 1, I'm a system analyst 2, maybe I'm a project manager, I'm in quality. The titles don't pay bills. Titles are arbitrary, given to us by human resources. They don't even open doors because they don't have a lot of concrete meaning of what's going on. And they certainly don't make us valuable. So what we want to do today is talk about how you can take titles, quit hiding behind the title, and start communicating in a way of understanding and communicating in a way of what matters most to you. So you're listening to, this is the Company of One podcast. I am Dale Callahan, and we are here just to help professionals get control of your income, grow your income, and find freedom and purpose at work again. That's what we're here for, to help you do. So let's jump into it today. And again, every time we go somewhere, it's all about titles. What do you do instead? What do you do? Let me kind of break this down in a couple of different truth statements, if you will, or things to challenge our way of thinking. Is instead of thinking about yourself in titles, think about yourself in terms of your customers. Now, you're a company of one. The customer are the people that you are serving, the people that pay you. We're all being paid if we have a job, right? So the people that are paying us, the people that are authorizing money to be paid to us, they're the customers. So what we want to do is focus on what our customers need, not the title that we've been given by the company. So one way I like to think about that is become extremely focused on your customers, not your title. So the lean in the book, Lean Startup, Eric Ries talks about companies that become highly successful. Let's see how he says it. Businesses that win, they win when they obsess over customer needs, not their own labels. So get obsessed about the needs of your particular customers. It's the same thing for our career, right? The more we obsess over what our boss, our company, our organization, our department, the more we obsess over those needs, the less our title becomes important and the more value we start to add. And we don't need to worry about hiding because we are going to be extremely visible now instead of ducking behind a title. So if you think also about somebody like a FedEx, when they talk about what they do, they are not sitting there rattling off we're shipping. They are talking about making things, systems to make things faster, easier, and cheaper. Now, and really, if you think about it, that's really what we are doing. If we are on the payroll, we only have two purposes, and number one is to bring you in more money. If you're in sales, that's great. That's probably where you are. A lot of us are also in that position inside the corporation, but if it's not, we're about systems and we're about making things run smoother, so they spend less money. So focus on that customer need. That's the number one thing that changes your value and has nothing to do with your job title or the thing that's on your business card or your LinkedIn page. So the second thing is with that information is we want to translate that into what matters. Now let me slow down for just 1 second. The way you get obsessed about what your customer needs and what your customer problems are is you learn and you ask. If you don't know, hopefully you're in the middle of it and you know, but you may not know. Just asking simple questions like, hey, what's the biggest problem we have around here? What would you like to solve, boss? However you want to look at it, just asking simple questions to find out what really matters to the people that are paying you. Don't try to figure it out yourself. They'll tell you. They're happy to tell you. But once you think about that, you want to translate skills that you have into things that matter. All right, so if I look at that, so skills should always be, the skills that I have should always be tied to outcomes that impact the business, right? Otherwise, they're skills. That's nice, but I need it to impact the business. In Seven Habits, he says in the he says in the Seven Habits book. I think that's where this comes from, where he talks about begin with the end in mind. He gives the example of a drill bit. People go to a hardware store looking for a particular drill bit, but what they want is the hole, right? The drill bit is the mechanism to get it. So it's a simple analogy for being focused on what the real desired outcome is. When I hire a software developer, when I hire a project manager, that's the drill bit. What I need is systems to work faster, cheaper, and on time. I need things to happen that generate the flow of money and deliver stuff for customers. So the software and the project management and any other things that we have going on, it's all about delivering that. So don't be focused on the drill bit. Be focused on the whole. Be focused on the result that matters. So one kind of practical way of doing this that we see a lot of people do that I've worked with is they will go to LinkedIn or their resume. I hate resumes, but they'll go to LinkedIn and they will for every bullet item that goes on inside their job, they will be action oriented. So instead of saying hey, I did this job, say things like cut costs by 12% or reduce downtime by 30%. Percentages and numbers, they can be hard to come by, but they're really super powerful. They deliver something that's concrete. It jumps off the page and among many words. So measure something. Measure something simple. It doesn't have to be overly complicated. It doesn't have to be some super scientific measure, but just get some kind of result about, hey, this is what's doing and this is what matters. So when you know what matters to your customer and you're saying, well, they need less downtime, for instance, then you start saying, okay, well, I've fixed something. Here you get some kind of measure where we are in downtime now, and then you go fix something and you say now that downtime is reduced. Boom, there's a number. Just a little bit of tracking. It doesn't mean you have to be perfect with the numbers, but now you're taking what your customer cared about, and you're taking the skills that you have and you're translating it into tangible results that you can put out there in front of other people. That's what we want. Well, that's what we hire for. That's what even you and I hired for. When we go to the doctor, we don't care about the diplomas on the wall. We're like, hey, I hurt or I feel bad. Make me feel better. I'm looking for the result. The diplomas don't matter. The pedigree, none of that matters. So let's focus on that. So number 3, what we want to focus on is, and this is especially important in the world of AI, is leaning on the human advantage. This is the differentiator that comes in when we look at software, when we look at outsourcing, when we look at now AI. It's all the same kind of thing. Is how do I get around my people issues? You can replace task with AI. You can replace task and a little bit of human stuff with outsourcing. But the stuff that really matters and the stuff that really pays is going to be very difficult to replace with any of those. So Daniel Pink, in his book, The Whole New Mind, shows the future belongs to creators and empathizers, which is weird to me, but if you think about it for just a minute, that is the human element. AI is not going to be an empathizer. I mean, as much as it might say empathetic things to you back in its script, it's not really being empathetic. It has no human touch to it. So for instance, if you think about if you think about a lot of people, Steve Jobs wasn't the best coder. I don't know if he could code at all, but he was really great at bringing passion, bringing vision together, and creating energy. And we see the same kind of thing with Elon Musk. Generating some energy going on here. So when you're leaning into the human advantage, and you know what your customer wants, you see your skills, and you're translating into numbers, and then you put that into things that you can do, it becomes not only super powerful, but it becomes protected in the sense of where we're trying to outsource and put everything into AI. So for example, some applications that I want you to think about is ask yourself, what part of my work can only a human do? And I know we're hyping up and we're selling the fact that AI can take over and do anything, and it can think, and it can breathe, and it can do. Forget the hype. I'm just talking about where we see things right now, where we see things logically going. AI is just a machine. It's coded by people. So what can you do? You can negotiate with vendors. You can inspire team members. You can turn data into a story, right? Like the data we were just talking about, we reduced downtime, and you could tell the story about what you went out on the factory floor and you saw, or what you saw going on, in the team that was doing this process, and how you observed, you communicated, and you applied some basic tools and some leadership with real people to get real results. You can tell that in a story. That's magic, because we're people. We like stories. We like to hear the stories. So that human advantage is just so, forget the job title never ever describes that. Even in our attempts sometimes to describe job titles, we don't do a good job with that. It describes human advantage with job titles. We do a terrible job. So the last thing I would suggest we think about is communicating like an owner. And you are an owner. You are the owner of the company of one. You own your own business. And for that element, for matter of fact, you own your role in the company. So you are an owner. Start acting like an owner. Start communicating like an owner. Employees, what we do is we list out to-do lists. We list out things to do. Owners talk about impact. We talk about results. We talk about the impact to customers, the impact to the bottom line. That's what owners care about. They don't care about checking off tasks. Matter of fact, they already have too many tasks. They would like less tasks. But what they do want is impact, because impact drives revenue. And so that's very important. So, for example, you don't hear somebody like Bezos, even early on, didn't say, I run a website to sell books, which would have been fairly accurate early on. But he was saying, this is what he was saying: I'm building the world's largest online retailer. Now that was a little bit of a acting like an owner, communicating a vision with some passion. All these things together, again, combining the human element here. So, a plumber could say, instead of saying, hey, I just fix leaks, it could be thinking about, will I help people keep their home safe, dry, and functional? Right. The results. Now that may be not the way the plumber would say it, but that's what we want to focus on, is the result that's going on here. So let's take a practical thing out of this. Something that you can do here is introduce yourself by your results. Now this one gets to the meat of the issue, is because that's what we are usually doing when we hide behind the job title that I started out with. We meet people Sometimes it's in a networking event. Sometimes it is in it's just in a store. Sometimes they're friends introducing. We're at a party, whatever it is. And we inevitably ask people what they do. And a lot of us would say that's a terrible question. We're sizing people up when we ask that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't like it because it's shallow. And it doesn't say anything when somebody tells me, hey, the one I ran into somebody the other day that said, I'm an engineer 3. And they said it very proudly, and I was thinking to myself, engineer 3, does that mean they're at the bottom tier and they've got to work up to engineer 1? Or are they at the top tier and they are, they were a 1, a 2, and now they're a 3? Or is there like an engineer 7? I don't know what it means. They said it proudly, but that's good. You be proud of your work. But I had no clue what it meant. And in reality, I also know it doesn't really mean anything. Might mean some bump in pay or where they are on a pay scale, and that's about all it stands for. So, but practice introducing yourself by your results. For instance, if you're a project manager and that's you're a certified project manager or something, you might start saying things. I help companies finish projects on time and under budget. Now that's more words than project management, but when the rest of the room is introducing themselves by that and you have no particular title, you're getting to the result. Just try it. Think about the words, come up with some words to describe the impact that you have. Make a little sentence and start introducing yourself by that and just see what happens. Because what you do want is more questions. Right? That's powerful. I'll give you an example. I was at a networking event one time, and some girl comes over, and there's lots of people there. It wasn't about software or technology, and she asked what I did. And we were at a networking event, so that's probably fair. And I said, well, I'm a software engineer. And her eyes kind of glassed over, and she walks away, right? And the guy that was with me that had brought me to the event slaps me in the back of the head, and I'm sitting there thinking, what are you doing? And he was like, what are you doing? You're an idiot. You're not a software engineer. You create process for companies to make things go faster. And I thought, well, that's stupid. I argued with him right there. And I thought it was stupid the way he said it. Now, his statement may not have been the best. I would have changed it. But it did make me start thinking, is this woman, she couldn't relate. What does software engineer mean? She didn't know. But when I say I help make processes I improve processes for your company. Because if you're a software person, nobody cares about software. Nobody cares about computers. They care about the results, right? What are you improving by the software? So, but if I say, hey, I create processes to make companies move faster, that just begs for a question. That begs for, hey, tell me more. Like, what are you working on? What does that mean? That's what you want. You want to further the conversation. So practice it, try it. It's kind of fun. In meetings, though, what we do is in the meetings, we shift from task, right? We have a list of tasks, and we might say things like, I attended the call. I attended the client call. What does that mean? You showed up? Were you not doing anything? It means nothing, right? But instead of say, I clarified their needs so that we can save 2 weeks of rework. So my reason for being at the meeting and the effectiveness of me being at this meeting was I moved things forward. And I can put that, whatever words make sense. In this case, I helped clarify the client's needs, and I saved us 2 weeks worth of work because we were about to do things that they didn't want, which is typical, right? So, you might even try this at home. Instead of saying I'm out here mowing the lawns, you could say, hey, I'm out here keeping my family safe and my yard looking beautiful. But if you just translate your mind to start thinking in results. And so let me just recap. Let's just jump back here and think about these things, because we all identify as titles, and I'm just giving you 4 things to think about. Is number 1, start back with your customer needs. Figure it out. What's the thing they need the most? Number 2, translate your skill sets. And you don't even have to worry about your skill sets. That comes naturally. But just focus on the results that matter, which are probably tied back to the customer problems, right? And number 3 is think about things in the human advantage. Instead of just checking boxes, writing code, doing tasks, think about the human side, where you communicate, where you act like people, where you tell stories, you empower people and encourage people and lead people. The human envelopment, part of your job. Nobody talks about that really. And then last, communicate like an owner. You are an owner. Start acting like it and communicate like it by talking in terms of results, and especially introducing yourself in terms of not a job title, but what you do. People are pretty good about that on LinkedIn. I lost a lot of people. But check around on LinkedIn and you'll notice some people have engineer 3 and other people will have words that sound like they might matter. So you do the same thing. Okay, so just try these things. So we've got some things that are going to be, we're working on. It's at dalecallahan.com/toolbox. There's not much there yet, but we're working on some tools to help people, uncover hidden jobs. I spend a lot of time with people with looking for jobs, and they're doing all the wrong things. And then I talked to somebody just yesterday, and he was talking about how many job applications. It was thousands of job applications he sent out for two interviews. And I was like, that's just abysmal. The results are terrible. And I see this all the time. You're doing the wrong thing. And so we'll talk about, we have some products there, products mostly to help people grow their money. Things like what we're talking about right now. On your day job, you have a job. How can you grow your income right where you are? And then some for people that are trying to leave their company and do some side business, or at least just get a side business up. And on that, we have, if you go to dalecallahan.com/idea engine, we will link all this down below. But on Idea Engine, you will see we have a framework. It's a thing there's no charge for it. It's just a brainstorming activity. In 20 minutes, will help you generate ideas, good ideas for side businesses that are natural to you. All right. So at the end of the day, what we are doing here is trying to make you more productive. All of us are children of God. We are created with purpose. We're created with ability. And I just see so much in the corporate world today of a lack of meaning and a lack of purpose. And the result of that comes with feeling like I'm worthless. I don't add any value. I don't have a purpose. And that's not true. But you do have to dig around and figure out, how do you use the skills that God's given you and the tools that God's given you to use them to help other people, and how to communicate that. So that's what we're here to do. And so there's a couple of podcasts. If you want to check out some extra information down there, they'll be down there below. You can get this one if you want to go to the link. It's at dalecallahan.com/215. You will see links to all of these things. But there's the podcast about being an employee, why your paycheck is the most expensive thing you own. And what if I fail? One of the biggest things I see over and over again is we get frozen by failure. So that's it for today. Check those things out and go take some action.